And on 26th, there is a startup summit. I'm not sure if you have got information about that or not, so please be
The
there.
C Club one.
The Incubation and Innovation Center one. Don't worry, I'll share the notification on the classroom. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So today we will be talking about innovations in the field of wearables technology. So before I start, what is your current
मैम आपकी
understanding?
वॉइस आ रही है।
Sorry?
आपकी वॉइस बहुत हल्की आ रही है मैम, स्लो। योर
Really?
वॉल्यूम इज वेरी।
Okay. Is it any better now?
नो
Ma'am,
मैम।
it's audible.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
ma'am, it's
Now
audible.
it is very clear.
Okay, maybe you can try using a headphone if you are not able to hear.
Ma'am, what OS are you using?
Mac.
Ma'am, what's the deadline for submitting that 90-second video about our project? है तो
12th
discussion
of
होगा ना?
January. 12th of January. Huh. You will be presenting in the classroom. I'll be giving the feedback.
Okay.
So, is my voice clear now? Is it any better?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am,
ma'am. It
it's
is
fine.
very clear.
Okay. Request all of you to use earphones or headphones if you're facing any problem. Okay. Sorry for that. So, today we'll be talking about wearables technology and the innovation in that field. So, before I start, I would like to know what is your current understanding of wearables? What do you understand by wearables? So, any examples
Any
you have seen around you which you think can be qualified as wearables?
Smartwatch.
Smart
Smart.
watches. Nice.
And what makes them smart?
It has various sensors in it to calculate, to measure the blood pressure and heart rate and footsteps.
Right. Any other example of wearable?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, heart monitors can be there.
Heart rate monitors? Yes. In what form? In what form of the device? Or if
Ma-
there are any device stuck to your body?
yes, ma'am, it is a continuous heart rate monitor
Yeah. Yeah.
which gives the feedback to the doctor.
Yes. Yes. Any other examples you can think of? Okay, so as we go with the lecture, we will come to see that there are a lot of products which qualify as wearables. And before we start, you know, approximately which year you can estimate when the wearable technology might have started? Any estimates?
smart wearables.
Yeah, smart wearables is a category of wearables. So if I give you the definition of wearables right now, this is the current definition of wearables. These are small and compact electronic devices designed to be worn by a user, often called the body-worn computers. Now, as the progress is happening, the idea behind these wearables is to make them more powerful, efficient, and compact. So, this is the current definition of wearables. So, think about um, which year approximately can you imagine when something called as wearables might have started? So, think of wearables as not something electronic devices or something, but something which
18th century. 18.
When the first watch
18.
was invented,
Yeah, what?
yes, yes, close. So earlier, the watches were not wrist bound, right?
They were those that British officers are
Yes,
shown in movies
yes,
to
yes.
wear.
They were pocket watches. So they were also a form of wearables.
Mm,
And before that, the eyeglasses were there. The invention of eyeglasses to read properly in people who are myopic, short-sighted or nearsighted. So when we read about the history of wearables, this is the first product that comes in the books. Now, I will argue that knowing the history of wearables is significantly important to understand how this technology has evolved over a period of time, not only because of technical amplifications, but also because of the need that was discovered of different features in a product that would ease the life of people. And so we will be doing two kinds of histories in this lecture. One is of wearables, the second will be wearables in the health industry, and then try to see how technology has evolved and how the invention in this field has evolved to where we are today. And the fitness trackers and smartwatches that we talk about are relatively new 20th 21st century inventions. So here we talk about the history. So as you can see, the eyeglasses were one of the most pristine examples of wearables, followed by this watch that you mentioned as pocket watch, and this abacus ring in the 17th century. Following that, there was something called as pigeon camera, which was used in World War to collect aerial photographs of the enemy lines. And this idea was patented much later when its founder was asked to prove that this was not breaching the privacy anywhere and the quality of photographs was good. So this was a pigeon camera, so it literally had a pigeon around whom the camera was stuck, and it had a forward camera and a backward camera, and it would collect. So modern day, what do you think is most analogous to pigeon camera in modern times?
drones.
Drones.
Yes. And so drones currently are used only by licensed parties, right? If someone wants to use it for their own personal educational or research purposes, they have to collect a license to use it. So that was in around 19th century. After that,
Ma'am, can we say satellite images
so
pigeon
satellite
camera को
image,
replace के लिए?
can we say satellite image as what? As a wearable?
No,
He's
ma'am,
saying as a
pigeon.
something like pigeon camera.
It certainly has a device which catches image, so camera is there. Not sure if you'll call it pigeon camera, but of course nomenclature can differ. But yeah, it also qualifies as a camera, but at a much larger level, at a geographical level. Yeah. Next, we talk about this shoe in the 1960s. It had a small built-in computer inside a shoe, which was designed to help people win at the gamble games. So what it would do is it would, the person who was using this shoe would tap in the shoe every time the ball landed on a particular area, and this way the computer would learn and then tell the other person where to put the bet. And this was how this wearable was invented. In 1963s, we see the invention of TV glasses, which were very different from the traditional television sets in that, you didn't have to sit in front of the television, but of course, there are some shortcomings also associated with TV glasses. Anything you can think of?
Bulky.
And
May cause headaches.
if used on a prolonged manner.
Yes.
Hmm? So,
Can harm eyes.
sorry,
Can harm eyes.
can harm eyes. So, modern day invention, what does it remind you of?
Virtual
AR headset.
reality, VR headsets.
AR,
Smart
VR,
glasses also Google was going to make.
Yes,
It did make
AR.
a few.
Edith.
good. So this was about the TV. So you see that the variables that we are so much talking about in our times have a very rich history and a rich development, and we have come. So it's always, it's better to, it's always easier and more comprehensive to understand present times when we understand history better. So this way we have developed a perspective of how the technology has evolved. In the 1970s, again, we see the coming of watches and Sony Walkman. So, Sony Walkman was really a very, distinct and unconventional invention during that time. And I think it was way before Apple launched its iPod. In 1980s, again, we see something called as wrist PC. These watches which could help people to play games using the buttons on their dial. And again, there is around 90s, there is Private Eye, which is almost like the Google Glass computer. Anyone heard about Google Glass?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think it does?
Ma'am, it operates on the touch input on the sidebar of the specs.
And what does it hope to achieve by it?
Uh, Ma'am, it shows us notifications and like if we having any appointments or any like travel means appointments, anything, it would show us.
And why do you think Google Glass was not successful?
Ma'am, because at certain times it blurred the vision. I mean, when the information was displayed on the glass, it blurred and uh, and some software issues were there.
Yeah, so the idea behind this discussion on Google Glass is that when we come across a product, and most of the products that we had talked about and we'll be talking about in the lecture, did not were not successful. So as much important it is to understand why a particular product or service or an invention or innovation was successful. It is equally important to understand why a technology failed. I always tell my students and my colleagues that we learn a lot from failures and bad practices than we learn from good practices. In fact, in research methodology also, when we are teaching students of research, I always tell them that, get to know about the wrong ways to do research. It will be easier for you not to make mistakes. So similarly in this domain, when we're talking about innovation, we must, if so, for example, you are doing some group projects and have developed some kind of problem statements, try to read about the existing solutions in that domain and try to understand which one of them are successful, what are the factors behind making them successful, and what are other products which were not successful, and what are the reason behind them. And that will give you a overall perspective about what really makes a product stick among the consumer market. Then coming in 2000s, Levi's launched its industrial clothing design, but this jacket was not very successful among the people. Then again in 2006 we see Nike collaborating with Apple as a fitness tracking. So this is the genesis of fitness tracking industry. Now again we will read about the history of pedometer in this domain and how it has evolved. So currently most fitness apps, especially mobiles also, if you read at the history, fitness tracking did not first automatically come to the wristwatch. It was first introduced in the mobile phones, especially in the smart mobile phones. After some time it came into the fitness track bands like Apple, Jawbone, or even Samsung has launched its smartwatch, I think. Yeah. So in 2014, we see the genesis of activity trackers. Now the question arises is that when fitness tracking was already in the mobile and there was a specific app for it, what do you think could have been the reason to pull out, or to sync the fitness band activities with the mobile app? What would have led to that thinking ki no, we should go a step beyond mobiles and perhaps create something called as
Ma'am,
fitness
activity
band?
trackers are more accurate than mobile phones. They give you a more accurate reading of your heartbeats and the amount of calories burned.
Okay, that could be
And
one thing.
also, these trackers should be worn by people all the time, so people don't have their mobile phones with them all the time. So
Mm.
to track all the steps or to track information all the time, they invented the wearable like watch design so that people can wear them all the time without like
Or maybe I can put it like, if you are monitoring the health of a person and he or she is physically active and his or her heart is beating, then perhaps to be able to better understand the health of a person and to quantify the data, we need a device which is much closer to the person and for a longer period of time. And that is why, because we don't carry mobiles everywhere, but we walk normally, and usually it's easier to put a watch and go. So, although they are helping us collect more information, but you see the logic of explaining why the jump from mobile to fitness band to make it indispensable for the people who are really fitness enthusiasts. And as far as accuracy of these devices is concerned, it is still a matter of debate. In fact, I strongly encourage you to read about articles on how the adherence of people to fitness track bands diminishes after the period of 6 months. And mostly it has become a fashion statement, and it is important, but the question that is absolutely important to ask is, what will keep them relevant in our times? What about those people who have been using it for a long time? And how will we manipulate or analyze the information that we are gathering over the years, which is called as longitudinal information, and try to generate some kind of insights and recommendations and suggestions which are individualized. So if any one of you is interested in how lifestyle can be improved by fitness trackers, these are some of the ideas you can think about. Then in 2015, we see Apple Watch, and there are different devices. Again, I think someone was talking about, in yesterday I had a meeting, tracking the fitness of elderly people if they fall. So for that, we need a device which is closer to their body. So old people tend to have a lot of falls because of frailty and all. So for example, this device Quell, which is strapped to the body, it helps in recognizing the signs of oncoming chronic pain. Anyone knows about what is chronic pain and what's the difference between chronic pain and acute pain?
Ma'am, chronic pain is for long time and acute pain is for short time.
So can you give some example of chronic pain and acute
Ma'am,
pain?
like most old people have back pains
Yeah.
and sometimes their leg pains, so that would be acute pain, and the back pain would be chronic pain.
Yeah. So any sudden pain in your body that you experience. So for example, if I fall down and I experience some pain, that would be acute pain. But chronic pain is really associated with some kind of long-term disease in a person. And essentially it does relate to physiological musculoskeletal diseases, and where body pains, especially, it's quite prominent in old people. So why do you think that it would be important to monitor the incoming of chronic pain? Why is it important? Why we needed a device such as Quell? Any thoughts on that? See, the
Ma'am,
idea,
so that
yeah.
ma'am, so that we, as a precautionary method, we can prevent something, or we can take some treatments according to that.
Yeah. In fact, if so, it might relate to specific people who live alone without any caretaker, and someone who takes care of them is living far away and they want to know about the health of this person. So perhaps they might look to provide this device to this person and monitor his or her health. And what makes Apple Watch different and unique from the other smartwatches in the market?
Apple Watch is basically a short version of smartphone, except like you can do all the features of your phone on the watch. So that is the point which makes it different from other watches,
So
fitness
you're
trackers.
so you're saying it is also a fitness tracker, it is also a watch, and it also works as a
Phone, yes,
mobile
smartphone.
phone. Yeah, yeah, okay. And when we talk about the other product, which is Ringly, so it alerts you about the most important notifications which you can go back and check in your mobiles. Any such product in modern times you can think of?
Samsung also has a watch, which also acts as a mobile and a fitness tracker, both.
Yeah, S5.
Yes.
Okay, but do you think it is this product would be still relevant in our times? How can so there are already settings in the mobile phones, right? But if I'm wearing a wearable or a watch, then how is it different?
Ma'am, the companies are trying to, bind all these variables together with their ecosystem. For example, Apple has like Apple Watch, as Apple smartphone and MacBook. They are building an ecosystem around it so they can lock the user in and earn money from it. So it is very beneficial for them.
Yes. So what they are trying to do is increase the dependency of customers on their products and giving them the reason to do it. So that tomorrow when a particular person has its products, they can on the top of it not only earn revenue but also provide some kind of services, given IoT is becoming so prominent and connected devices is becoming so prominent. You know, there is a kind of communication which happens between devices, near field communication, and that is why there has to be a compatibility across the devices, and that is why each of the hardware companies and are really working hard to increase not only the penetration of single devices among people's homes but providing them the reason to acquire other kind of devices. You know, when we start selling a device or a product, we convince people that they need it. Once they are convinced and have sufficient amount of purchasing parity, they might want to buy or try your product. So always think from the customer's point of view. In fact, there was a book which was related to overdiagnosed America. So in America, you see there are a lot of medicines, Prozac, Xanax, for things which in India we might consider very normal, right? So there was an interview with the head of some pharmaceutical company who had started some new medicine, and he said that he did not create the medicine. What do you think he created?
Need to buy medicine.
Yeah, he created the need among people and convinced them that they need this, and then he created that drug. So that way it was very easy to sell his product in the market, and that happens all the time. So commercial industry and commercial firms are highly driven by customer point of view. There are so many products in and around you which you think you won't need, but we still buy. Any examples you can think of which seem redundant, but still they are quite commonly used?
Smart watches.
Okay, what do you think so?
मैम
Good argument.
स्मार्ट जो भी वर्क स्मार्ट वॉच करती है वो हमारे फोन में भी हो सकता है
Yeah.
और फोन जनरली सबके पास होता है
Correct.
तो एक तरह से स्मार्ट वॉच इसका एग्जांपल हो सकता है
They have been marketed in such a manner that they have become indispensable and also a statement of vogue among the people. So that argument we can put for smartwatches also. They are quite helpful also. So for example, if you go for running, carrying a mobile, can be very heavy sometimes. But if you were to wear the watch, and you can then easily run. So there are both pros and cons of everything that we come across in our lives, and especially products which are highly marketed. And so, in fact, when you look at IoT also, it's important because it's trying to connect our homes, connect our cars, and every other facility in our homes with some kind of cloud. But the question you should never stop asking is that how relevant it is, and individually also and group wise also. Technically speaking, that's great. The technology is really making progress and it is helping us. So for example, automatically switching on, switching off a light as you enter the house and exit the house. But again, at the cost of what? You must always think about the cost also and the trade off between technological development and the harmful repercussions of such development. In fact, as scientific students, it is incumbent upon you to look at both the sides of picture and then develop your own unique perspective. There's another device that this talks about is a bracelet which allows you to pay for some things that you buy, and it's cashless. And then again, coming to the virtual reality tool. Anyone has it or has seen it in some exhibition or something, or has any idea of how it is used?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Ma'am, I've played in game centers.
Okay. So there was this exhibition in Samsung once, and there was this team which was working in virtual reality. So what they were doing is, digitalization of architectural sites in India is a huge project, in which what happens is that they capture images of historical places in India and try to put it in virtual reality. So there could be a virtual Hampi tour using virtual reality tool. You don't have to go to that place and you can watch it. Now, of course, for people who are history lovers and architecture lovers, going to that would mean a lot more. But devices like this, which are taking you automatically into such kind of world, again, the question can be asked is, are they really, really useful? So when it comes to gaming experience, and people really love games, so of course for them. And it's quite costly also. In fact, Samsung launched its own virtual reality tool using the cover box of some mobile phone. And slowly, I think it might be used in medical diagnosis also. So this was about the brief history of wearables that we saw. So I want to ask you that you saw so many examples of innovations, right from watches to eyeglasses to fitness trackers to clothes and to mini computers. What, according to you, must have led to these innovations we just saw in the history?
Seeking of comfort.
Yes, easing the life of people. And how do you think that which area to provide comfort in would have come up? How did people narrow down that I want to improve this particular area of people to improve their comfort in life? What kind of thought process would have gone?
I think the reasons were different. For example, when people made wristwatches, it was just because they wanted to like shorten the pocket watches, and the pocket watches was because they didn't want people to just go and see watches all the time on the walls. And since then, it hasn't been much innovation. Now we made a phone. Now we're trying to fit that phone in the watch that we made 500 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's just it.
Correct. And what else? How do you see the technology has evolved? Look graphically in your mind the evolution of the wearable products in these times, and what comes you as the reason. So one thing that is important to conclude is observation. Someone might have observed the need for it and have identified that nothing that could tackle or address the gap currently exists, and then they could have worked towards creating the solution. So never underestimate the power of observation and questioning. These are the only two things which are really important, and of course the understanding of the context, which will help you to develop your innovations. So as you work towards your projects, merely making a concept note is not sufficient. Because your team size is 10, you must have a very neat and clean and tight detail of what exactly you will be doing. Obviously I will provide a feedback and that will be improved, but as research, because I consider all of you as budding researchers, the question why is very important at every step of innovation. Why am I doing this? Why am I not doing this? The question why is more important than how. So keep that in mind. You can read about more history of wearable in these links I have shared. Now, more interestingly, we will talk about the fitness trackers. The design of a pedometer, which is essentially a device that measures the steps, was given by Leonardo da Vinci quite long back. He even designed the pedometer for it. In fact, not one person is attributed to the development of pedometer. There were other inventors also. This was a Swiss inventor and Thomas Jefferson. Now, in the next slide, I will show you the pristine times in which pedometer was developed. So Thomas Jefferson actually gave his pedometer to this person in 1788 with the instructions to use the pedometer. Now, through this brief paragraph, I want to bring your attention very gently to the fact that in old times, the device that we use today so simply and so mindlessly also without understanding what is happening, there were so much of intricacies associated with the device in the old times. There's so many fixes that were required while using the device. And it is essential to keep that in perspective, because as technology evolves and as researchers, we must appreciate the growth in technology and appreciate how it has come today in its form that we are familiar with. Because even if you look at the computers and mobile phones and this aspect of virtual learning, this is also an innovation in its own manner. It was not earlier before. So to better understand the present innovation and products, it is really important to understand the history. Is the noise from my side bothering you people?
No, ma'am.
Are you, because some construction is going on upstairs, is it bothering you?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. It's okay.
Thank you. That's a relief. So this meter was also called as Tomish meter. And you must have come across 10,000 steps in a pedometer. Ever wondered about how this 10,000 steps came into being? It was again a result of a question that was asked. This professor at the University of Health and Welfare, he was observing that the health of Japanese people were deteriorating. He was very concerned about the rising obesity in Japan, and obesity is associated with other chronic diseases in later in life, and that is why he thought that there's something must be done for this. And for that particular aspect, he did some research and tried to come at a nice whole number, 10,000 steps. And today, you must have come across that daily at least we should walk 10,000 steps in pedometer. So the thing is that pedometer, when Leonardo designed it, it was not meant for fitness tracking. It was meant to measure the distance. And this technology, which was meant to measure the distance, slowly introduced its way into fitness industry. This transition is quite significant to understand because here has been a link between the existing thing and the need. And mostly people became less and less active. So the last thing that they could do is that we were asking them to just walk. If they're not doing any yoga or weightlifting or any intense cardio activities, we would just ask them to walk. In fact, if you look at the world level data, walking is the most common physical activity which is done by people. And pedometers have greatly introduced their worth in that area. So through this slide, I wanted to tell you that asking questions is important. Now, at the end of the lecture, I would also ask you to think about the possible gaps in current wearable fitness trackers. And that will be also an interesting discussion. So now we move towards the development of fitness trackers and medical devices using technology to improve the health of people. So hearing aid also is considered to be a wearable device. It improves the hearing ability of a person. This GSR, which is also called as lie detecting testing, was one of the wearables that was invented in 1921. Then fitness tracking has been quite common since 2000, and multiple products have been organized and invented. But the important thing to remember is, again, what I mentioned before, what influenced a product to stay in the market and what made them irrelevant. Because innovation as an industry in fitness is a continuously evolving industry. People's disease patterns are changing, people's eating patterns are changing. In fact, in COVID times, people are stuck in their homes, they're not able to go out to do some exercise. Now they have mobile phones, they have fitness trackers. How can we ensure that they still get some bouts of activity? So these are some real questions that can be asked to evolve the technology. These are some of the products that you can go through later in the lecture. Now coming to the current wearables market. Who will interpret this plot for me? What kind of plot is this? What is the name of this plot? It's called a bar plot. You must have read in 12th class. And what do you interpret? How will you read this plot? Anyone?
Ma'am, it's basically the ratio of the things in each year.
Yeah, give me a sentence.
Like, ma'am?
Give me a sentence. How do you interpret it? What do you understand when you look at this graph?
Ma'am, in furthermore years, the use of wearable gadgets would get significantly increased.
Yeah, and it has been increasing since 2016.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you see, the market size of each of the products is increasing. Wristwear, eyewear, footwear, neckwear, bodywear, and others. So you can see that this projection of the wearable technology market size, US, what does it tell you?
That maybe we should invest in it.
Yeah, that the need will still remain relevant, and perhaps we can think about some kind of new feature in these devices. You know, looking at these kind of plots can be significantly important because they help us to understand where to invest our money, finance, human resources, and time. If the technology or the growth is not promising enough, it should be helpful to you to think about it. In fact, in this regard, surveys by McKinsey and Gallup polls could be significant for making decisions in the field of business and all. So from this, we see that wearable technology market size is expected to increase in the next 7 years. And there are companies which are already working to leverage on this projected growth. And what about this plot? What kind of plot is this?
Pie chart.
Pie chart.
Who will give me the interpretation?
Ma'am, this pie chart shows that more than around 70% of industry is dominantly covered in the wristwears and eyewear and headwear.
Okay, so you have combined three. Yeah, fine. And majority, very less than 50%, is in the wristwear. So wristwear is the most common wearable technology market in the world today. So how do you, if given this information and you are, running your wearable company, what kind of decision would you like to take
Wristwear.
and why?
Ma'am, how to increase the features that are already provided in the wristbands and etc.
And the question arises is that why do you think the footwear and eyewear shares are quite less?
Ma'am, because smartwatches are quite relatable because of we used to wear watches and this is just a modified version of the same.
Yeah, good observation. So, taking over an existing product that a person are using and modifying it and, in a way making it smarter and then increasing its desirability among people. Wristwatches were very common. They have just worked on the top of that kind of product and modified it, introduced technology in it, and market it as a brand new product. So there's another lesson of innovation in this. They did not create anything new, they just packed some new technologies in the product that the person was existingly using and gave a better version of it. So that was also a very smart way of, preventing a product from getting totally redundant. So wristwatches these days, not many people wear. They usually wear smartwatches. Yeah. Whereas as compared to footwear and eyewear, because these are additional costs, so that is why perhaps there is a more scope of innovation in these areas also. In fact, for footwear, if I'm not wrong, a pedometer tracked on shoes is much more accurate than when the bracelets are worn in wrist or mobile is kept in the pocket, because the accelerometer in that area is directly in touch with your foot and its motion and jerk is much more accurate to count the number of steps. In fact, if you have different fitness apps, there are so many pedometer trackers. I would strongly encourage you to walk a distance, say perhaps 1 kilometer. Install all the fitness apps in your mobile and start them and see the discrepancy between the numbers that you see. And what do you think could be the reason? And what is the degree of discrepancy? How much the values differ from each other? That alone will give you a very good insight about the accuracy and reliability of these numbers. And while you are doing that, strongly recommend you to count your steps also in your mind. So if not 1 kilometer, perhaps 200 meter you could walk and check about all these things. When we are involved and immersed in the product that we are thinking about, then we develop a certain sort of relationship with that product or service, and then it becomes much more easier to think in that domain because then we are one with that domain. So personal experimentation with products or existing products is extremely essential to think about how the old products can be packed in new form and marketed to people. So if you are developing some kind of hardware solution in your innovation product or even software solution, you develop a prototype, pilot it, gain the feedback of others. Feedback is essentially very essential to the progress of innovation, constructive criticism. So maybe for summative assessments, try to pilot your products or get feedback and then try to modify based on the feedback of people, and you will see for yourself that how a product or service or anything solution that you are suggesting has evolved over the period of time. This is another plot which talks about wearable technology market size. Interpretations. Please interpret it for me. So y-axis can be considered as percentage of market size. Anyone wants to try?
Ma'am, the right side shows the market share as per the regions. Like it's written, it's highest in America and lowest in rest of the world of wearable technology. Whereas the left side, it shows that consumers are using more than other industries.
Yeah, consumer market.
Yeah.
There are a lot of devices. They are more using wearable technologies, followed by healthcare and enterprise. So that means innovation is happening at a very rapid pace in these two domains, market by application, and the majority of things happen in the United States of America. So there is evidence that says that the global wearable healthcare devices market is projected to increase from 2020 to 2025. And even though currently, North American countries and some Scandinavian and European countries have the foothold in the wearables market, the emerging economies like India and China are the markets in which there will be the highest growth of wearable markets in the coming times to come. Now that alone is an opportunity for all of us. Tell me why. What do you think? Come on.
Ma'am, the Asian countries have a large population, and considering India is a developing country, and the more and more people are getting urbanized and moving into the modern society, so there's a big market for those products.
Correct.
Demographics favor that.
Please elaborate.
Ma'am, the demographics of India are very favorable as we have the youngest population of, as compared to the rest of the world.
Beautiful. We have, that is called as something, demographic dividend. India's demographic dividend. Yes. Any other observations? So, multinational companies generally what they do is when they get established in an area, they try to expand themselves in other areas where they are no longer existing. So for example, if you look at the history of KFC or McDonald's in India, you will observe this. And this is in stark contrast with the growing awareness of unhealthy food in United States of America. People have started to make relatively better choices because they have become aware. And now obviously the market size of these companies is going down, and they are looking to expand themselves in countries, African countries and Asian countries, because here people are more focused these days about rapid expansion and financial improvement and becoming the part of urbanization, let's say Indian dream. And hence, these things are considered as vogue. And that is why very subtly MNCs also market healthy products and unhealthy products, so that as consumers and as innovators, we are both responsible for the products we create and also for the products and services we consume. So that goes hand in hand. If as a consumer you feel that there is something which is happening which is not ideal or which is not right or which is not long term helpful to people who are consuming it, you propose your own product or service or own solution. If not to handle that technology or perhaps to make people aware. So that is why keep your eyes open wherever you go. You never know from where you may find a problem. Again, the use of AI has greatly inspired inventions in the healthcare wearable market. And as we have already discussed, Asian countries are considered to be quite promising for this wearable market. So when I say that, immediately what it means is start thinking about the kind of relevant innovations in Indian market, because we all know about our country much better than foreign countries, even though they read the reports. Why? Because we know the people, we know the society, we know the community, and ultimately these are the people who will be using if something has to be developed in variable market. So perhaps because this technology has been projected to increase, it would be a good idea to start understanding how in India we could develop something in variables market which could be promising to the people. And that again will be a great idea to pursue. So this just shows about the percentage of contribution from different countries in the global wearable technology market. North America ranks the highest. In the next plot, we see the growth rate by region. And we can see that, in areas highlighted as green, which includes India and China and other countries, there is a possibility of increase. In fact, Australia also, we see that the growth rate seems promising. So that means that we are directly sitting at a very advantageous position. We know this fact, we know that variables is gonna boom, and we know our countrymen somewhat much better than people residing in North America or South America. Then perhaps we are at an advantageous position to propose something in this domain to improve the lifestyle or health of our people. In fact, there are so many diseases that are coming up in India because of changing lifestyle, urbanization, nutritional transition, and all these kind of transition. Perhaps variables could be useful in this domain. Let's interpret this plot. Who will do it for me?
It is the growth from 2016 to 2022 of various devices. The majority of growth is in fitness and wellness devices, then the smartwatches, and then others, and then smart glasses and smart clothing.
So you see that still, as compared to other four areas, the highest revenue generating segment remains to be fitness and wellness. That could mean thousands of possibilities. You just have to be aware about the existing problems related to health in the world which are not being currently targeted. Talk to people, read reports, read news regarding health and all. COVID pandemic is going on. What could be done to improve one area of people in fitness and wellness? And doesn't have to belong to all the people. Segment your population. Maybe it's for elderly people, maybe it's for youth going to school, or maybe it's for people who are trying to get rid of smoking or get rid of drinking habits which are costing them their families and jobs. Our world is full of problems in the health domain. And fitness and wellness is the need of the hour. And not only talking about physical fitness, try to think about the mental health of people also, which is deteriorating very badly. In fact, there are fitness apps which help you to organize much more better mental health for people, helping them meditate and targeting not only their heart rate but heart rate variability. How is the heart rate varying over the period of time? So we are sitting right in the midst of amazing times. And for fitness industry and wearables in Indian market, I think we could together do something really great, but provided we are aware of our field, we do good amount of literature survey in the area and try to question everything we read and critically analyze it. Anything that comes up with existing knowledge or observation around, and then you pitch that idea. I would be very happy if any group of yours proposes some kind of idea in this field, and we can work together in our incubation center to make it a possibility. So wearable technology market key segments. By devices, we have seen mostly smartwatches, glasses, fitness and wellness devices. So these are the major segments. By product, again, wristwear that we saw in the pie chart, eyewear, hearables. By application, lifestyle and healthcare and consumer continue to be the major areas in which wearable technology markets are used. So you might like to read more about it. What is happening in this area? What are the kind of products which are being suggested in the market, and how are they helping people really solve some real genuine life problems, and what are the glitches in them, what are the shortcomings in them? When you read about, just don't read passively, read actively, question, and try to really understand what the author is trying to say, and then try to reflect on what you're reading, and then make your own interpretation of it. So never be a passive reader, be an active reader to understand and to develop the idea. So some ideas to ponder would be, we must appreciate the process by which a technology grows, because chances are the technology that we see today, it has a history. When we see the history, we develop a better perspective over its growth. And then it's easier to connect the dots and understand that innovation happens in a spectrum. It is never a breakthrough moment. Behind every breakthrough is a history that has happened. Since we talked about fitness wearables and pedometer and all, one question that comes to my mind is, what do you think about how difference between steps and fitness? What do you think is the link between steps and fitness? And by steps, I mean, okay, you tell me what you mean by steps. So how was this idea marketed to us that 10,000 steps is equivalent to good fitness? Are you convinced by the fact that number of steps is equivalent to better fitness? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand the question?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So again, let us imagine a situation in which two people are walking the same distance. One is walking briskly, one is walking normally. How do you think current fitness bands and apps measure the intensity by which a person is walking? Or they just count the steps? Or
They just
steps per
count the
unit
steps.
time?
And the fitness devices can measure steps, heart rate, their speed, and accent in height, and all that stuff. So there's
The
quite a lot
question,
of these.
correct. So the number of vitals they are collecting is huge. The question that I am asking is, do you think number of steps, higher the number of steps, better the promising of fitness, or is there something lacking here?
No, ma'am.
Speed.
Elaborate.
Ma'am, I think diet.
While exercising, it should be effective, not it should be not measured by quantity. It should be measured by quality.
So how do you define quality?
Ma'am, like if you're walking, so how you are walking, in which way you are walking, so that your calories are burning or not burning. Or if you're doing some exercise, so if you want to do a stomach exercise, so it is affecting stomach or not.
Right. So you
Less
see
number
that
of steps taken for large distance can burn more calories.
less number of steps for the longer distance or a
Large
given
distance.
distance. Yeah. So there's something called as MET, metabolic equivalent. Essentially, when we are sitting, metabolic equivalent is 1. Now, as the intensity of an exercise increases, the MET increases. So MET of running is higher than MET of walking. And this is how there's a particular formula which fitness apps use, which introduces the MET value is a fixed value. And based on that, they compute the steps they're already computing using accelerometer. And then they're trying to compute the calories expended. Now, different fitness apps use different formulas also to compute the calories. In fact, when you're going uphill, when you're coming downhill, there is different formula for calorie computation. So it is not as easy as just taking 10,000 steps. The nature in which those steps are being taken, is it a brisk walk? Is it a leisurely walk? How do you track steps on the stairs? So all these are very real life scenarios that will become clear once you start using these apps regularly and in a manner in which you are just not passively using them, but you are actively questioning the information that that app is providing and analyzing your own data. So these are some of the key market players in the field of wearables. You might like to go to their websites and try to identify the kind of products they have launched in the market in this area, which will help you to understand the growth pattern and the product segment that they are targeting. In fact, Fitbit and Garmin are widely used in running and cycling. Additionally, it would be also a great idea to look at the top fitness apps on mobiles, like Rantastic is there. Then for cycling, Strava is there. So do look at the websites of these key industry players and their products in wearable market. Alternatively, strongly recommend you to read more about the fitness apps in the market and what are they doing and what new can be done. Which brings me to an interesting activity for all of you, as I've been mentioning in the lecture all along. I am hopeful that all of you have smart mobile phones. Install some fitness app or more than one app. Do the same kind of activity. Notice the output of different fitness apps and try to interpret what you find. And do it for at least 2 months. You will gather substantial amount of data and you could do your own research and propose your own idea in the domain. Starting off, maybe you could try walking a certain distance and trying to see the accuracy or the standard deviation of the steps that each of these apps is telling you. So when you actively use these apps, you will try to understand, you will begin to understand what is happening, what is not happening, and what is not happening will provide you a door to understand and to develop your own idea. And over the period of time, if you start using it, you will gather a lot of data, say walking data. So there was a study I did in which I tracked a person's fitness data, and after 2 months, his weight was not decreasing. His BMI was not decreasing. He started at 29 BMI. He stuck at 27. He had increased his walking time. He had increased the minutes he spent in brisk walking. Still, his weight was not decreasing. And when we analyzed the data, we developed an algorithm which was able to detect a plateau in his growth. And this user was completely caught off guard. He did not know. So our body becomes comfortable with a certain kind of workout. After that, again, then diet also comes into picture. Now, perhaps we exercise only for 1 hour or 1.5 hours daily, but we eat more than 3 times, or perhaps 5 times if we eat in breaks. So that means diet and nutrition also has a very significant role to play in fitness and wellness. which currently health apps are really very struggling, because how do we input the data? So if you could design or think about any way to capture the food and eating habits of people along with sleep habits, then exercise, food, and sleep, these three vectors could be used to accurately tell about the health of the person. In fact, Google came up with a solution in which you could just click the photograph of the food you're eating and it would automatically capture the calories. But then again, the question arises is it only about the calories in and calories out? So you see, there are questions at every step of the innovation. Think about the nutrition and diet and how it can be introduced in wellness apps, because that is something that people around the world are researching on. And again, what I have mentioned in bold is do a study of all the fitness variables in the market, identify their features, make a table. So, for example, steps, heart rate monitor, sleep. These are the three columns. In rows are different fitness apps. Try to tick mark which is the most prominent area. What are the other areas that have not been targeted by different apps? You will develop an understanding of the ecosystem of fitness variables in the market. And it started off with few products, but now it has multiplied. In fact, with Xiaomi band coming up, lots and lots of people are able to use it. So that kind of understanding will be really helpful. So is it only about the blind penetration of fitness apps in the market, or are they really doing it? How is it ultimately affecting the customers? Read about those perspectives, read about their testimonials in which they talk about how their lives have been transformed using variables, because ultimately the objective is improving and, as some student mentioned, making the life of people comfortable in certain manner, right? On the next slide, I've mentioned some of the research papers. One strong suggestion I will always give to you is never believe news reports without questioning, because news usually has some agenda and it distorts science very badly. So all of these are, I will show you once, all of these are research papers put at NCBI, and this is the evidence that you can trust. So read these kind of papers and they will help you develop a better understanding of it. After reading it, if you want to discuss anything with me or the possibility of doing any project in the domain, I will be very happy to discuss it with you. Next lecture will be on geriatric care, which is old age care and innovation in that area. Any questions for this lecture?
No, ma'am.
No,
So
ma'am.
hopefully, I think,
No, ma'am.
hopefully, I think, so the main takeaway from this lecture I would want you to is, again, the exercise that I've mentioned. Please try to use the fitness apps in the mobile if you don't have the fitness band, and try to observe them. You are anywhere at home. Try to observe them for about 2 or 3 months and look at the insights that it is telling you. So these days, they also give you chart and graphical ways of analyzing your information, because when we use a certain kind of product, we can accurately identify the shortcoming in it. That would be one thing. Read about the existing players in the variables market and read about the new problems in healthcare in the world and in India, and how they are not catering to these kind of health problems. And then we get direct invitation. So can we do something about this disease using variables? Can we improve certain situation in people's lives? So there are many questions that variable industry has to offer. In fact, I wrote an article also in the opportunities, challenges, and promises of variables. One thing I have not talked about in this lecture is the data privacy and data confidentiality of people who using variables. Data is being collected at a pace of speed of light, but now people are more vulnerable than before, because their medical data, which has been integrated, can be used against them also. So these are vital concerns which we'll be talking about ethics in innovation. So think about these issues, read these papers. You want to discuss something, I'm already there for you. And perhaps we could do some good project in this domain. Yeah?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So start exploring these fitness apps and tell me if you make some observation. Okay, and by observation I mean